Welcome back to Homeschool Ways podcast with Adriana Zoder. My guest today is a very interesting author who has written a bilingual book, English and Chinese. And her name is Christine Berry. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Thank you very much.
So, what inspired you to create JoJo Learning, which is the overall umbrella of all your products, JoJo Learning? What inspired you to create this?
Yeah. So JoJo Learning started when um, I wanted to find ways to help families get started with raising bilingual children. And I just truly believe that babies are such a natural and open place to start with. So I am bilingual. I speak Chinese as my native language, and English is my acquired language. And I'm raising three multilingual children. And in my 20 years of um, helping people to raise bilingual children, I have spoken with thousands of families, and I always get this one question. So, bilingualism is really exciting, it's so cool, but where do I start? Where do I start? So for the longest time, I was working on some solutions for more advanced learners, right? And then I could never answer this question, but I always, for years, I was searching for a way to answer this question. And I think I have found it. Um, and there are three places to start. Um, I feel number one is to start young. Number two is to start with love. Number three is to start with uh, music. So that was how right now we are focusing on developing this Chinese songs for baby and me musical book series.
So, do you have a degree in languages?
I did. I had an undergrad degree in English and international trade. And then I had a graduate degree in science and technology journalism in the United States. So my undergrad degree was in China. I was born and raised in China, and I moved to Texas A&M for a graduate degree. So I do have the degree in language.
Very interesting. Yeah, kind of like my story. I came here as a student. I transferred sort of from Romania. I
Right.
was studying
Mm-hmm.
languages over there, French and English. And then I came here and studied communication, Christian communication,
Uh-huh.
at a small college in Virginia. So it my question was not so much about your credential as much as, when you're passionate about something, you don't need a diploma necessarily. You've got the qualification of your
Right.
real world
Mm-hmm.
experience as a
Yeah.
bilingual person and a mom of three children that, like you said, they're
Right.
learning Spanish, English, and Chinese while living in the United States, right?
Right. Right.
Do you do you speak Chinese to them?
I do. I speak Chinese to all of my children, and especially, for the oldest one. When I was pregnant with my first child, right, I read all these books, and the scientist in the crib, and how to raise a bilingual children. And I know, well, as long as I speak to, I must stick to speaking Chinese to my children. So I do, especially. As I get more and more experience being a mother, I just persuade myself and I beat myself and stick to Chinese as much as possible.
Yeah. I've noticed it's very hard to stick to Romanian as my children grew up and we got into more and more contexts outside the home. And I had to also include some, daddy's American. So I had to, anytime he's in the room, is we got to talk in English.
Oh, yes, the same here. Daddy is American. Yeah.
So you all switch to English when he's in
We
the
all
room.
switch to English when we need to include my in-laws, the guests and dad. Even though dad is trying to learn some Chinese and he can do some baby talks now.
Yeah. And teach us a little bit. Is there such a language called Chinese, or is it Mandarin and then something else? Correct us. Everybody just throws the word Chinese around.
Right. So there is under Chinese, mainly we have Mandarin Chinese and Cantonese Chinese.
Cantonese.
Yes. So Mandarin Chinese is this Chinese that's commonly spoken by a lot of people right now in mainland China and in Taiwan, Singapore. Right. So the main places. And Cantonese is spoken in Hong Kong and several southern provinces in China. So when a lot of people are talking about learning Chinese nowadays, they're either Mandarin Chinese or Cantonese Chinese. But then there is also traditional Chinese and simplified Chinese. That's when we're talking about the written form, not the spoken. So the written
Mm.
form has traditional Chinese and simplified Chinese when the Chinese written system was simplified um, when in mainland China.
So
And there
with
are, of course, a ton of dialects. They're all
yes,
going under Chinese.
yes. So let's stick to Cantonese versus Mandarin. How similar are they? Are we talking British English, American English, or are we talking completely different languages?
I cannot say they are completely different language, but they are not British and American English at all.
Somewhere
So
in
the
between.
pronunciation is different. The written form is similar.
Uh-huh.
However, if you speak to me in Cantonese, I could understand most of it, but not all of it because I
Okay.
was trained in Mandarin Chinese.
I see.
But I would say safely, if somebody speaks Cantonese, they probably would understand Mandarin Chinese because that's whatever you hear from the movies, the shows, the songs, everywhere you go.
Okay. So what's in your books? Which language?
It's Mandarin Chinese.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I want you to explain to parents why you focus on babies as young as 6 months and why is it a myth that we should wait with language learning until babies can actually talk?
Yes. Yes. Um, so those books are actually focusing on babies as young as newborn. And so there is a critical learning period for all of us that is from age 0 to 7 years old when a child will learn a language naturally, right? That the brain just is wired to acquire a language naturally. However, there is this period of time when a newborn can hear the world of sounds. All the sounds in the entire world, a baby can hear it and the baby can tell the difference of all the sounds. And this ability actually fades away at about 6 to 12 months old. But just don't panic. The window is still open. That natural window is still open until about 7 years old when your brain is going to be wired differently. Right. Before that time, you learn a language not from grammar, not from explanation. You just learn from listening, repetition, and you figure out the pattern, the rhythm, and everything naturally, right? And then now you and me, when we study, learn a new language, we're learning, or our brain is wired differently. So that baby time is very, very amazing time. A baby is a language sponge. It's a learning machine. A baby was born as a learning machine. So I was heavily impacted by Dr. Patricia Kuhl from the University of Washington and the Institute for Brain Science and Development. And she did a lot of amazing research about how babies learn. So one thing she find out was it's not what she find out, but a research she mentioned was they study newborns from the United States and Sweden, and they give them a language they didn't hear when they were inside the mom's belly, right? And they find out all these new babies, they prefer to listen to the new language, the new sound. That's new stimulation. That babies are naturally drawn to the stimulation, and then hearing new languages help that brain develop those connections. And later in life, the research shows that multilingual babies, bilingual babies actually have better, they call it brain execution, like focus, multitasking, and they even have better reading and math skills under the controlled groups. So it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I used to study when I was in linguistics myself, and it's fascinating. Um, so, what makes your book different from traditional language learning books or toys?
I would say if I can use one word, it's love. Because I just firmly believe that bilingualism is a relationship. It's not an achievement. It's not a project. It's first of all a relationship. Um, I mean, I am all about research, right? But on top of that, um, everything needs to be rooted in love. That is not just because it's some, fuzzy and warm feelings. It's actually research. So there is a saying that um, the social learning, the social learning is the gateway for learning, meaning, especially when you nurturing babies and young kids and children, and you cannot put a screen or put a book or put anything in front of a baby without a person and expect this baby to learn. um, so when I was looking at how do I put the music, because we know that music is extremely beneficial for babies and for children, right? How do I put music in a second language together? I was not looking for lyrics. I was literally looking for words of love. Um, and I was, after I gave birth to my third child, my baby girl, I had a pretty bad complication, and I ended up waking up with a ventilator at the ICU. And it was during COVID, and I was only allowed 15 minutes to visit with my baby girl. And in these 15 minutes, all I could think about is, how can I give her all of me? My voice, my touch, and me, right? And that is so important. And that experience always reminds me, never, ever forget what's most important for our children. And all the research actually pointed out to they say, hey, if you want a baby to be emotionally and socially and cognitively learning and happy, you bring yourself, you bring all that social element, that interaction. So we have I worked with about 40 families while I was developing those musical books, and they uh, called in from everywhere in the United States, and a lot of them from Canada, and they all have young babies and children and younger siblings at home. And they we would be singing some of my songs, and they will tell me what they like, what they didn't like, what resonates. And I always ask them one question, say, so tell me, forget about all this project, tell me what you say to your children, what do you say to your baby? So I think that's really what I'm looking for, is what do we naturally say as an essential way of communication, as when I tell my baby I love them. So one lyrics I love most, my favorite one in one of my songs is "You are the cutest baby," because lots of parents, no matter what background they are, what language they say the same thing. You are the cutest baby.
Yeah, yeah. So just to explain to our listeners or viewers who have not seen the book, it is a picture book. It's not a very thick book. It's a regular size picture book. It will
Yeah,
have Chinese in it, also English, and there's a button that you can push and
yeah.
you can
On
hear the
each page, there
sound.
is a button.
Okay, on each page, yes, yes. And you can hear the sound of the expressions. And is there song in the book, or do they need to order the separate CD?
No, the song is in the book. So each page there is a button, and you press the button, and you can play the song already. There is a speaker.
Okay, okay. That's great. And I like how it's black and white. I remember when I had newborns, and a friend of mine gave me these books that were black and white. And no, I think they were like flashcards with animals, but they were black and white. And I was like, really? Black and white for babies? But she explained to me how in the beginning they don't even distinguish colors, so they need that black and white silhouette, right? So I see
Yeah,
things in
I
black
mean,
and
this
white.
concept is sometimes hard to communicate, especially in China, because I did test some of these books with some Chinese audience as well, where parents has less of a is less familiar with the black and white type. Um, and this mom who got this book, she has a 4 months old baby, and she was like, "I'm not sure. My husband said those books are they are not colorful," and but 2 weeks later, she wrote to me. She was so excited. She was like, my baby just wanted these books. And she was able to stay focused for so long. And she was showing me which picture her baby loves. I said, why do you think your baby loves that? And he said, maybe because not only it's high contrast, but also the topics are here and now. They're babies that they might my baby might be seeing herself in those pictures, the grandmother rocking a baby.
Hmm. So we're about to get back to the show, but first I would like to remind my audience that if they need a little help in getting more organized this year, they can go to my website, homeschoolways.com/organized, homeschoolways.com/organized. And there are several resources that I have put there as PDFs, also some questions just to help you think through your own personal situation, because we all homeschool in our own way. And if you can just answer yourself those questions, it will help you understand if you can maybe improve your productivity, your organization, just to give you a better sense of where you're at with your homeschool. I heard every word you said about love being the differentiator, because as my audience is homeschool moms, and it's all about love with us. That's why some people relearn algebra just so they can homeschool all the way through high school. Um, Love is what makes the difference in everywhere. And if you talk to even kids who go to public school, they will talk about that one teacher and they felt the love from the teacher.
So
Before
true.
the teacher, yeah, before the teacher was, yes, competent and proficient and etc., there was love. So thank you. Yes, that is very important. So let's get back to the show with the idea of parental involvement. So as homeschool parents, we are involved in our
Oh, I
children.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yes.
So what if I don't speak Chinese? Can I learn alongside my baby from your books?
Definitely, definitely. This is the purpose of the books. It's we don't need to be able to speak that language. How do I? Because not every parent is bilingual, multilingual, right? How can I do this without me speaking that language? So I think really hard about this. And when my daughter started to learn Spanish, that really gave me new perspective too. It's like how I want to be involved so badly, but how? So I think first of all, it's just so important. If you are part of this thing, it makes a world of difference that how your babies and your kids will learn and their interest level. And then we need, as a non-Chinese speaker, you need scaffolding. Yeah, you need audio. So the book brings the audio right there. Very easy. You grab the book on the go, in the car, everywhere. You push a button, audio comes out. And so, and I don't think we can make busy parents to review grammars and to do preparations. And babies don't need explanations anyway. So the idea is to just have fun, have some bonding time. So this is a series of books that has 6 books. The first two, I just turned on the
You press the button.
I just turned on the one of the pages. So the idea is there are 6 books, right? They go from the very newborn. You have this high contrast images, and then we go all the way to when the baby, your kids, the toddlers and older, and they interact and they start walking, climb the stairs cases. And when they are doing all this, when you're getting your kids in the car, you're gonna say something. Parents like us, we are involved. We talk through the day. We talk about what we're doing, right? We're going to say we're getting in the car. We are fastening the seatbelt. And if you're already singing and rocking your baby to bed and cheering baby on, why not do it in a second language in a very simple way? Because all these words are just the essential words, the everyday words that you can get it by just repeatedly listening
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
And the I think it's very valuable for what I am developing there. I'm proud of that. Is I was looking for words of love, right? But those words of love, I got all these songs together, and I look at them. I look at the structure. Those words are actually the essential words, what we call most frequently used daily words.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a coincidence and it's not a coincidence. We don't want to grab words first and then we put in a book. We think, what do we do? What do we do as parents? We praise our kids. We wake them up in the morning. We kiss them. We rock them. We tell them how cute they are, right? We talk about feelings And when we put all these words together, they're actually the essential words. For example, when you talk about learning a language, we say there are super seven verbs. Those are the seven verbs that every language learner should start, right? They are I want, I like, right? For example, and all these seven super words are in those books because they are indeed what you will say to the babies. So I would say for the non Chinese speakers, it doesn't matter. It's just something fun. You don't have to know the grammar. You just learn like a baby, just sing with the baby. Like in the morning, you say good morning to baby, 早上好,早上好. After you hear that song 10 times, you will be able to see it because it's
Yep.
pretty easy and simple.
Yeah, it's a natural learning process. I like that. As we land the plane, if you could give one piece of advice to parents who want to raise curious, confident learners, what would it be?
I would say it's love what your child is loving. Um, I have learned, I have seen that. There is a funny story. I have a 15-year-old boy. He's a teenager, right? When he was 13-ish, that was my hardest time. I didn't know what was going on, and I thought I was finning being a mother, and my sweetest child all of a sudden turning to something else. But recently, my my son just surprised me. He was becoming this wonderful young man that I've ever dreamed of. All of a sudden, I so one thing I saw that this relationship has greatly improved. Why was that? And one thing I recently started with him is to watch The Walking Dead with him. I hated horror, whatever, zombie, whatever movies, right?
Yeah.
But I started watching that with him. I actually talked about the movie with him. We actually imagining what are we gonna do right now if the zombies are attacking our house and and of course we do a lot more, but that's just an example of love what your child is loving. Um, like when if we say, oh, we want to raise more multilingual children, we say, hey, that's your job, child, you do it. Your child is gonna hate it, but we can be part of that. Number one, the best, right? If you're interested in language, what a wonderful thing for you to be. You don't have to be fluent. You can know a little bit of some language so that you can say hi to a stranger at a park, right? But you don't have to do all that. You just need to show how you are super interested in that, right? If your child is learning Spanish, you are super interested in, you take your child to visit Mexico, you you are just showing how involved you are. You watch a Spanish movie with your child with English subtitle. You be part of that. I think it's just so important that our child feels like we are loving what they are loving.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And yes, age 13, I would say even 14. 14 is probably the most difficult, but something starts around 12, 13, and then it gets better. And just fair warning to everybody, Christine Berry, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. And I will put links to your books in the show notes. And I wish you best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Thank you for all you do to help the homeschool learning community.